Fighting games to me have been more so about improving yourself and making the other person feel as awful about themselves as physically possible. To do so, you would need to figure out, oh, what kind of mix-up can I exploit? What kind of, you have to get in the mind of the person you're up against. And in a way, I think that's a more personal way of communicating, honestly, than one could find with even talking. I know that sounds stupid, but when you're talking to someone, they put up their own guards and they kind of block off. So, like, for example, when you go to talk to someone, say at school or something, right? You start up a conversation, they're probably just going to say, yeah, fine, or they're going to hit with the usual answers, like, yeah, I'm doing okay. But fighting games, when you get into someone's head and break down what they're going to do, you get more than just, yeah, I'm fine. You get their entire life story. I know, I'm exaggerating here, but when you get to figure out what someone's like, you can kind of figure out how they are based on their fighting style. I myself am really sad to say I like rushdown characters a lot. My favorite fighting game characters are, as of this exact moment, Chie from Persona 4 Arena, Giovanna from Guilty Gear Strive, and and Trunks / Bardock in Dragon Ball FighterZ. Though, admittedly, almost everyone's rushdown in that game. But that's because I've found that when I play those characters myself, I get to express, I guess, how could you say, repressed rage? I don't really know. But I get to feel how I want to feel, I like commanding and making people think fast. But I hate grapplers, because they're bitches. And anyone that plays a grappler should follow Low Tier God's advice. But that's besides the point. Getting sidetracked. When you say, like, fighting games have led me to find some of the best people I've found too. I have a few good internet friends, and I've noticed the effectiveness of a training rival. Now, I know this is a bit of a... I know NetherRealm games aren't very well crafted in terms of fighting games, but Mortal Kombat 11 was the first fighting game I got seriously into. And that was more or less a gateway to other bigger games. Sorry, that's a lie. Street Fighter 2 was my first. But I didn't play Street Fighter 2 competitively as much as I did in Mortal Kombat 11. Mortal Kombat 11 let me figure out that I hated grapplers. It honestly was what got me to realize that grapplers are obnoxious. But I had this one friend, we'll call him, he's known as North. You've probably seen him in a few of my live streams if you bother to watch. We would get better together. And that was the best part of playing the game. Like, when you have a rival, so to speak, that makes you want to improve yourself and outdo them even better. Like, I remember at the beginning, I mained Joker, because I thought, haha, funny society meme. What if I hit him with zoning? And he got around that. But he likes to play grapplers. So it's interesting to figure out that his strategy revolved around getting around a lot of my zoning tactics when I played Joker. And he was able to really get in touch with... Not in touch, sorry. He was able to figure out my own strategies and use them against me. So he would wait for the animations of my little gun bullet thing. I don't even know what it's called. And he'd usually go in with a... he played Terminator and Jax a lot. And he'd go in with either a teleport or he'd use the running man move. and just dome me. Which honestly, I respect it. Like, if you can run face first out of the zoner with no fear, you've done it. So that made me change and realize that I didn't like zoning because I didn't like to lose. But so I swapped off my mains from time to time. Joker's still fun, but my most recent MK11 main I've actually enjoyed was shit, what was it? Kano. Kano led me down a path that I it would let me tap in with the cancer side of myself, you know, even more so than the Joker. Kano was a weird mix. He had the grappler moveset, he had the rushdown moveset, he could even be part Shoto if he wanted to. Granted, he didn't have a reversal or anything, but he could still rock. And that's where I found that I like being way more in someone's face than being behind 17 different projectiles and playing like a bitch. Granted, I'll still resort to that strategy with Kano sometimes, but finding out that I could pull off a massive, like, I think it was a 15-hit combo by swapping my own playstyle to play as a hybrid grappler rushdown, that was fun, and I would never have thought to do it if it wasn't for my rival's help. And again, I'm using the term rival loosely here, but what do I know? It's 5 o'clock and I'm recording because I can't sleep. But that's enough about my own personal bias towards fighting games, you know. Let's talk about why video or fighting games are good for other people instead of my own, rather, or own experience. If you're into video game soundtracks at all, my god, the amount of fighting game soundtracks out there that absolutely slam are astounding. Some games I've never even heard of, like, I know it's stupid, but I think Melty Blood type Luminera, if you listen to that character select theme, it's one of the best fighting game soundtracks I've listened to. It's honestly just a banger. And I listen to Lethal League Blaze's Ordinary Days constantly. And if anytime I ever need to, need pseudo motivation in my life or while I'm doing menial chores, I just put on the Guilty Gear soundtrack. Daisuke Ishiwatari built one of the best fighting game soundtracks. I love the mix of heavy metal, and I love that he incorporates other genres. Like, I never would have thought that I would have heard a blend of, kind of a Queen mix with heavy metal, or even swing heavy metal, but that got me into so many other genres. And anyone who's into music at all should give fighting games a chance, if not solely for the music. Another reason? You want another reason? Bang! Fighting games spark an adrenaline high that I've yet to compare to much else. Like, knowing that you are on your last bit of life and coming back from a pixel of health is some of the most empowering things I've ever seen, and honestly I've done. If I can find that pixel comeback I had earlier in Strive, I'll put it on screen. But honestly, the adrenaline rush you get from fighting games is insane. There's nothing else like it. Of course, other than maybe an actual fight would top it. I don't know, I'm a loser, never been in one. But fighting games, god, they're just really good. There are some fighting games out there that have, I think, improved my usage of my fingers, which sounds stupid, but I have a fight stick now, and I know you don't need a fight stick to play the game. I never played a fight stick when I was playing Mortal Kombat, but here I am. I've dubbed it the sweat stick. So that's an official term, now copyrighted. If anyone were to use it, they are immediately sued. The community of fighting games is massive. It's called the FGC Fighting Game Community, and it has such a unique presence in almost any other like gaming convention in general. Like when you see, say, I want to say any like a MOBA esport team, like or Overwatch even. Sorry, first-person shooters. The esports I'm familiar with is Overwatch and certain MOBA games. But when you watch gameplay of like earlier Overwatch, you'll notice, yeah, they're playing as a team and they're getting some cool plays off, but it's mostly the same thing over and over again. But with fighting games, there's personality. You don't just have an entire team or whatever playing off of each other. You have one guy going up against another guy, mano a mano. And if that's not like the coolest thing closest to a duel that I can think of, I don't even know what is. Half the fighting game tournaments take place in wrestling rings, and the crowds are they're relatively small compared to like the Overwatch League, but my god, they're full of like spirit, vigor, and the players themselves have personality to them. Like, you compare low tier god and Viscant's duel to, I don't know, no, like Dynasty versus, I think it was Fuel in Overwatch. Yeah, there were some cool plays. They defined the meta for Overwatch once, but that was it. They didn't really have anything major, but there was drama in the fighting game community. Low Tier God is one of the most toxic people, and he was put down by a man that looks like Liquid Chris or Pro Jared, even. If they fused into one being, that would be Viscant. And the fact that Viscant pulled out on top over Low Tier God and talked shit right back to his face, that was some of the craziest and like most amazing things I've ever seen. And it was entertaining. It was like wrestling, you know? Like, I know there's some, I can't remember the name of the wrestler, but he bases a lot of his moves off of Street Fighter. And that's pretty cool. Like, to have your character trait, I guess, in wrestling, as having moves based off fighting games. That's so cool. Like, it's a bit nerdy, yeah, but I don't care, dude. If you can pull off a Hadouken in real life, you deserve all the respect you can get. But I'm getting sidetracked. Fighting games, at their core, have a weird way of making you want to better yourself. Whether it be through crowds, through intensive personal training, spending hours labbing combos out, or just using them as a way to find new friends and expand your horizons as far as what you want to play. You'll never know what you want to try or what playstyle you'll evolve into until you at least give fighting games a shot. They're hard to get into initially. I got my ass beat many times by my dad when I was learning Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter. He grew up with it. It's not his problem, but it forced me to get better. And forcing myself to get better made me realize, hey, I could beat the shit out of my 12-year-old self now. And that's growth. That's a personal journey. And I guarantee you, my buddy North, he could beat the shit out of his earlier self too when he first started playing. It just comes with natural progression. When you learn the game, you just get better. It's just like that. It takes a different amount of time for a different amount of people, but look at Broly Legs. The man is physically disabled, but he still manages to play a fighting game. I think it's Street Fighter. He manages to play fighting games with his mouth. If you can't play fighting games with your mouth, if you get into fighting games and you get your ass beat first game, and then you sell it back and you're like, oh, it's too hard. Think about Broly Legs. How did he, think about what that man went through, right? and how he's one of the top players in gaming, even in general. He should be what you aspire to be. I guess what it boils down to is I like fighting games because I like seeing myself improve over time. That's why I stream video games. That's why I record my own gameplay, even if it's a loss. You should take every loss in a fighting game as an opportunity to do something better. I would never have been able to learn a fighting game if not through trial by fire. It's unfortunate, but I consider myself a good player at Guilty Gear. Decent, I've hit floor 9, and I can only play one character. I haven't been able to put the time or thought into learning another character because they're so diverse. You have Giovanna, my main, who's stupidly fast, but she has unique mechanics like the ability to cancel out of her specials into normals, and I believe her dash keeps her momentum going, so you can rush down even further. And the fact that I think her quarter circle punch? Her Hadouken combo has an ability to go through projectiles. You can use that. Instead of getting zoned out, I've caught many Inos by surprise. When she throws her stupid ball thing, I've just jumped through it and then smacked the bitch in the face. Like, it's such a good tool. But compare that, I can't play any other character. If I try to play someone like Chip or Potemkin, I'm awful. I've tried to play other characters when I get bored of Giovanna, but then I realize, no, I shouldn't get bored. I should try to learn something different with the same character. So, it's unfortunate. I do manage to get stuck in my own sort of loop of playing, a flowchart, if you will. I get into the whole, oh, if they're blocking high, hit low, and then throw in a mix-up or two. It's that whole thing over and over. But that's when I turn my brain off. You know, if I overthink things, then I get hit by mental mind games, and I won't stand for that. But I will never play Leo. That's it. Thank you for joining me on this, super late rant while I've run out of video ideas and I just wanted to record something. Maybe I'll make more stuff. That's all, really. Hopefully I could do more ranty videos later, or earlier, I don't know, but later. And I kind of enjoyed just talking, to be honest. You don't need my face, you don't need a camera. It's nice. I'll see you guys later, I guess. Sorry this is unprofessional, but bye-bye. 程度だと